Let's get back to it.
The jury, your name, please, ma'am.
Michelle McCarta.
And are you the mom of Talia that we heard testify yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you know the defendant in this case, Leilani Simon?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you also know Daniel Youngkin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you know their children?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know Quentin Simon?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before we get deeper into this, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 29. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. McCarta, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 29. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and without saying what's in it, is it a photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and does it fairly and accurately depict what is in the photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, we tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 29 into evidence, please.
No objection.
Okay, Exhibit 29 is admitted without objection.
Okay. And now that it's in evidence, can you tell us what this is a picture of?
This is a picture of Quentin when I was off. We took him to Red Lobster to eat.
Okay. So in this photograph, he was out with you.
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I publish this to the jury?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'm just going to do it old school.
Okay.
Ms. McCarta, how did you first become acquainted with the defendant and Daniel?
Through a church lady that went to church with us for many years.
Okay, and who was the church lady? What was her name?
Sandra Howell.
Okay, and was she related to them in some way?
She was the sister of Billy Joe's husband.
Okay, so that would be, she was the sister of the defendant's stepfather?
Yes.
Okay, and did she introduce you to them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what was the purpose of her introducing you to them?
She had been keeping the children, and her knee got real bad. So she asked if me or my daughter, or both, could watch them because she wasn't able to do that anymore.
Okay. How many daughters do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
Okay, and which daughter was going to help babysit?
Maritza McCarta.
Okay, and is that your oldest daughter?
No, she's 19. She's my middle.
She's the middle one, and then
Yes.
Talia's the youngest.
Yes.
Okay. So did you go and meet with the defendant and her family to perhaps babysit the children?
No, ma'am. Billy Joe had called me on the phone a couple days later.
Okay. And did she set up the babysitting arrangement?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember approximately when this was?
We started watching Quentin and them around the end of January, February of 2022.
Okay. And that would have been before Sky was born.
Yes.
So at that time when you first started babysitting, there were just the 2 boys.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And about how old would the boys have been then?
Quentin was young, maybe 9 months, 10 months.
Okay. So they would have been, Zane would have been a toddler.
Yes.
And Quentin would have been an infant.
Yes.
When you first started babysitting
Yes.
them. So how did it work? Who brought the kids to your house?
Most of the time, Danny. Once in a while, Leilani.
All right. And how often would the children stay with you?
At first, it was just when they worked. And then it started being overnight. And a lot of times, we would even call for Quentin to stay with us, even when they were off.
Okay. Now, who was paying you?
Leilani was paying, but it wasn't like steady. She would pay, and then she would text me later and tell me she needed formula for Sky or diapers, and could she come and get it, and she would pay back when she got paid next time.
Okay. And how much were they paying you to babysit? Do you remember?
Yes.
What the agreed upon amount was, whether you were actually getting that or not?
It was like $25 here, $30 there. One time I think she paid $100. It was just different amounts
Okay.
because she would tell me she didn't have it or she had to do this.
So is it fair to say that you and your daughter were being paid a lot less than the normal going rate for childcare?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. You said that Quentin would spend the night sometimes. Would both the boys spend the night or just Quentin?
Zane stayed a handful of times. Quentin stayed a lot.
And why is that? Why would Quentin stay overnight?
Honestly, Quentin loved us. He was close to us. And I just felt like he would be better off at our house because there was a difference in the love she showed between Zane and Quentin. And I felt bad. And I would work and my daughter would say, "Can we just get him, Mom, because this happened today?" And I would say, "Yeah, call her and ask her if he can stay."
Can you think of some examples of how the defendant treated the boys differently?
Well, she was working at Bojangles, and she had brought food home, and she fed, Quentin loved food, and every time he seen a bag, he would want it. He's little. She would feed Zane before she fed Quentin.